Welcome to the season finale of Egregious Intent Radio. Here I am joined by Mr.
Michael Sema,
as well as a very special guest, a producer on this film, Mr.
Carlo Garcia,
credited as
Salem Star.
That's right. And I am Isaiah Quinones, and I am very excited today because we're gonna go through the Depraved, which is available on watch.trauma.com
and YouTube.
And we're gonna watch this, and we're gonna break this down shot for shot, cut for cut. So if you were a fan of this, and you were or even if you weren't a fan of this, maybe you'll enjoy hearing us detail which things you hated about it specifically and why we fucked it up so bad. Without further ado, we're just gonna hit play. So this opener.
Time to pause.
Yeah, sorry, I have control. You just take control. I'll just tell you when to pause. So this opener was designed by Michael Sema, and I remember there was an earlier version, which is basically the exact same thing as this, but like Bill is not like embossed into the intro. He's silhouetted with his shadow included, and we had actually gotten some feedback from a few different people who were like not exactly sure what that silhouette was supposed to be.
Yeah.
If it was like a phallic object.
Yeah, it was solid. It was Bill, but just solid filled in white, and then his shadow was included, so that made it even more confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to redo the whole thing from scratch, and it took I think 7 different like exports of like green screening, and then green screening the next layer, and then green screening the next layer, because I don't know how to edit. I just kind of make it up as I go along. So I just had to make this from scratch. And this is from some
It's like a French erotica.
something, yeah, some like softcore movie I found on YouTube that I really like the intro.
Yeah, this was like the 1970s.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember this was pretty early on when you had showed me that first version. It was like I had probably just finished writing the script.
Yeah.
And you sent it in the group chat, and I was like, dude, like this is perfect. Like if we could capture the tone of this intro through the rest of the movie, then I know we're in good hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this story could service like this particular style.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like the best thing ever. So
Awesome.
Very good work, everybody. Shout out Michael Sema,
Thank you.
because he killed it with this.
Thank you. And shout out to the man who made our music, Mr. Derek Heath. We'll play the original music and the original intro back to back with the edited version here. He did a really good job of capturing. What do you exactly say to him?
Well, Derek is an extremely talented musician and filmmaker, and he's also going to have a film available on Trauma Now pretty soon called Midnight Oil. You guys should all check it out. It's great. It's really, really fun. But in our initial conversations, we had talked about capturing this sort of like this 70s style horror soundtrack, but also with that like fun funkiness as well. Like that was like something that I was pretty particular about when we had talked. Like kind of having like the thumping bass and the like like all of that. So yeah. So when he sent me this, there was an original piece of music. Typically when I edit, I tend to kind of put like a temporary music. I call it temp music. In the edit, so that way like when I'm showing it to Sema, when I'm showing it to Carlo, when I'm showing it to anybody, kind of like looking for feedback or looking for pointers on the edit, like it's not like a hollow piece of material, like so that way like the emotions are coming through, even in the rough cuts. So I did that. I sent Derek a couple of different edits with different pieces of temp music kind of attached to them, like haphazardly. Wasn't really concerned about keeping anything in sync. And I said, this is kind of like the tone, like this is like the the kind of like vibe that I'm going for, and you know, how would you take that and make it yours, and how would you communicate those ideas and communicate those feelings? And you know, he communicates them pretty damn well, and he communicates them really well because the music and the image, especially right here, kind of set the tone for the exact kind of film you're about to watch. And you can immediately tell from the get-go, like, this is, you know, a love letter to like cinema of old. And I think he just knocks it out. This opening was one of the first things that I envisioned when the idea for this kind of came about. So I knew that I wanted to start it over black, and I knew that I wanted you to hear it first before you saw anything, you know, because like I felt like there was like much more of a thrill of like hearing that disgusting like crunchiness and the sound of the saw blade and what he's doing, because at first you may not know exactly what it is that he's doing, but when you linger on it, eventually your mind will kind of create that image. And then when we jump into it, you know, obviously we don't show it because I'm kind of saving that, you know, to build up that little bit of suspense, but like it's really all like in your mind's eye, and you know exactly what he's doing. So here's a shot I operated, one of the few. Yeah, I was really particular about that zoom. It was just this really tiny bathroom at the Wellborn, and we just stuck a little red light in there, and then just got these shots. There was actually a couple more that just kind of got cut for time, like little like things of him like taking it off and putting his suit jacket on and stuff. But you know,
You opted for the harsh cut to this shot to kind of.
That was really important too, to leave the sink water running, like the and then it's into something else. That was something that, because you know, like things like this like aren't like written specifically into the script, but I remember there was this one night while we were filming, when we were at the Wellborn, I was talking to you, I was talking to Carlo, I was talking to Everett, and I was explaining like that transition from like you hear the faucet running, and then it's like and it's like you know, all of those sounds, and it's kind of like that smash cut. But this is a shot that we talked about on our episode with Everett, that we had to reshoot this. The original scene, or that original one take shot, was really no good. It was lit completely differently. There was not as much blood on the ground, and
hardly any blood on the ground. It was just
brutal, and it was probably one of the best decisions that we could have made to do this one again. But we can watch forward a little bit and kind of like see this play out in real time. Yeah, so this is actually the basement of the Wellborn. I didn't know it was there. This basement scene entirely isn't even in the script.
I mean, if you have a keen eye, you can catch some anachronistic, not 1971 type stuff. But,
correct. So yeah, there's that spot right there with the blood. Yeah, so that was entirely accidental, done in an earlier take, and I don't even know off the top of my head if we even caught it. Maybe he talked to us about it or something.
I think he brought it up, like, should I clean this off? And I think we looked at each other like, no, that looks tight, let's keep it.
Yeah, because that reveal that's in there is it's one of those that it looks intentional, like it looks
absolutely,
like, it looks like we strategically placed that there, but that's just that's God's work.
Yes, sir.
And this costume was a Goodwill find. One of the luckiest Goodwill finds I've ever stumbled upon.
Absolutely.
And gave Everett some trouble, but in this shot in particular, it's something that I think he's very proud of, which is that shot of his beautiful ass as he walks up those stairs in those tight pants.
Framed
perfectly
to perfection. I take a bow for that one.
As you should.
That looks so much better than the original version of that.
Yeah.
Which, as we said, looked like somebody flashing an iPhone light
at
them, because that's exactly what it was.
This movie cost $900 to make. So like our first couple nights of shooting, we were kind of, you know, at the mercy of inexperience and budget. But you know, the beauty of it was I was cutting every night after we would film. So you know, we would shoot till like 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night. I would go home and I would cut whatever we had shot till about 2 or 3 in the morning, and I would show it to you guys so that we could kind of have like a little bit of like a live update to what we got going on and where is this going. Obviously completely rough with no music or color grading, of course. And you know, we were able to kind of catch these errors while we were still shooting, so that like while we had a free moment on a given day, we could go back and get these shots. So this is one of the shots that we had to get again. You know, the lighting wasn't quite dynamic enough, but we went ahead and shot this again. This is actually this whole sequence of reshoots. There's that great gun. That whole sequence of reshoots from that night, from the basement down to these shots of him looking over at the car, that was all done on the night that George's car broke down. So right. we did all of Everett's dialogue, and then at the end of the night we went outside and we got those extra shots in, the ones that we had missed.
Were there any that we were shooting and that we forgot to get and had to go back? I don't think so, right?
Nothing that like we like fully gapped, which is good. Mm-hmm. I feel like we might have actually gapped shots on like summertime. Yeah. I think there was a few that we were like, oh fuck, like, we didn't even get that shot. We had to cut around it, but I think we got everything like this because like I had let this incubate for so long that, you know, I had storyboards for this, but I didn't need them. Like I had them in my brain, and I knew like which shot led to which shot, which led to the next one, and so on and so forth. And then from having that preparation, from there, that's when you can start to kind of like, okay, well, let's throw this whole fucking thing away and see what we can dream up while we're here. And like that's when things like the basement thing can happen. You know, you have like your vision, but then when you arrive to the place that you're gonna be filming, like different ideas appear, and that was one of them. But this shot here, this is the exterior of the Wellborn. This is the Wellborn. This is the hotel section. So this is our Exorcist shot. Mm-hmm. For sure. I really love. I mean, that shot's iconic, and I always thought it'd be cool to kind of do it, in my own context. And this is the introduction of George Morris as Detective Bradbury, rocking that wonderful South Florida hat.
Was that its own shot, or was that just a reversed version of him cocking it back?
That's a good question. I can't quite remember. No, wait. No, that's for real. Yeah, he mimed it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because that gun actually, you couldn't actually do that with the gun.
Yeah.
But something that I want to point out here is the car. So this was courtesy of Mr. Paul Abetz, my girlfriend's father, who has this really lovely VW Rabbit. I want to say it's 1983. Don't quote me, but I knew I wanted old cars, and he was happy enough to come and lend us his Rabbit for the night. But it was almost in vain because I couldn't afford to clear the parking lot, and that parking lot was usually empty. It was empty every other night we were filming, but the night that we had the car was the night that people booked, their hotel stays. And there are a couple modern shots a couple modern cars in the shot. But what are you gonna do? I don't like if that's taking you out of it, then I never had you to begin with. So
right.
Yeah, so we had to reshoot like these pieces. Then Everett is reacting to nobody in this shot. You're gonna hear a lot of that.
He's reacting to a tennis ball on a stick.
Yeah. Now this is like our main theme that's playing here. And I really like that shot there where he just takes the case for him. All that was all of that's in the script. In the script, the only change here is that in the script it's raining, which I remember like saying to everybody, like, it does not matter if it is raining or not. But I know there's no use in trying to schedule around a rainy night.
Yeah, which is funny because when you explained this to me and the concept of it, the first, like, you were talking about the sign outside and it shining through in the window, like, I couldn't quite wrap my head around it. It's, like, happens sometimes with your ideas, but then, like, once they come to life, I get it. But it raining was the only thing I had in my head. It was like out the slit, like, window and
Right.
rain. That was it. That's all I
Right.
could picture. And then it's like we get there and it's like, all right, no rain. So it's like I don't know what I'm shooting.
Well, what's funny is in the script it is described where he doesn't go into the basement at all. He hears the car from inside of the bathroom,
Right.
goes through like the main like lobby area, and peeps out the window as it's raining, and he sees the car from outside the window, and then puts his gun away, grabs his jacket, and then goes out the front doors and then greets him, and it's all from like from the interior shown through the window.
But you can hear them talking.
Yeah,
If
well,
there's a microphone next to him.
yeah, their talking is like all like in the voiceover, basically, the one that you're gonna hear in just a second. But yeah, like when I found the location and found that basement, it was kind of like it would be stupid to not shoot that shot here because of the eeriness that it automatically provides,
100%.
and it automatically just overpowers the original idea. So it's happy accidents like that.
Mhm.
Now this was a sick improvised camera movement from SEMA to tilt the camera.
I try to stay within my lane, but sometimes I simply can't help myself but to Dutch. And that was an instance of that. And luckily you were on board. So, yeah, I like that shot.
I like that shot too. Here's a shot I don't like, but not because there's anything wrong with it.
There's something wrong with it, but
there
you,
is
you
something
don't,
wrong
you don't
with it.
know what it is
Yeah,
if
well,
you weren't there.
So this shot was pretty meticulously crafted in my brain for a while to start close on the fireplace with a lit flame, and to zoom all the way through and reveal the girls. Now, that wasn't able to happen because the night before we got there, that fireplace stopped working, and there was really nothing we can do, and there was like a little bit of a conversation of like how to go around it and can we do it digitally, and I ultimately just opted for just like whatever, just there is no fire.
I walked over to the other room while you guys were talking about it and set that up and kind of just like shrugged, and
And it's like,
we were like,
yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that works. Okay.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we ultimately kept the shot. What's funny about this is like this is the first shot we got of Maddie and Skylar together, and they were still kind of getting used to each other, kind of just like making conversation, and I was watching them kind of getting to know each other, and I pulled SEMA aside. I was like, let's just shoot this. There's no sound, so all we got to do is just prop the camera up and get the shot like while they're just talking. So this scene is we didn't call action. We just got the shot while they were just talking about other shit.
It's funny, I forgot.
Okay, so here's the shot that's cursed. This
Uh-oh.
is the one that has the record amount of takes on this project. This has 13 takes.
Whew.
And this is because we didn't have our fancy, expensive wireless follow focus system that we have now. We had to do it by hand on the physical lens. And I can't pull focus for shit, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
It was all in vain
It was
because
all
of
in
the
vain.
equipment. I'll just insert an abridged version of me complaining from the other episode where we talked about this shot because I don't want my head to explode. Position A is Mark 1. Position B is Mark 2. We need to just cleanly go from 1 to 2, A to B. Should be simple enough. It depends on how fast you turn the focus wheel. It changes every single time, and no matter how clean you think you're doing it, it's different from take to take, so it was literally luck. Like, it should, well, with the equipment we have now,
Nice.
there is a clean A to B, and it's consistent, and you can just mark it off in your brain. This notch to this notch. Easy as pie. That damn camera, and its focus wheel, just every single time, you're literally just guessing. You can't, there's no way of getting...
But yeah, the gist of it is I was zooming with the lens at the same time that you were pulling focus, and just trying our best to get the shot the way we envisioned it, and we got it as best as we could.
But god damn it.
Yeah,
they made us work for it.
We really had to work for it.
Not they, the equipment.
Yeah.
The actors did great every single
Yeah,
time.
everybody was nailing it. Everybody was kind of like, what is it about this shot that's like taking so long? It's not working. It's like, well, it's because we can't get this motherfucker in focus. But yeah, there's this is when the music kicks in. This was a particular beat that I was very, very excited to hear from Derek. That really like funky track. But this dolly shot was the shot that we completely butchered and had to save with image stabilization. And I think it looks great. I think like it's imperceptible, which is good.
Which I would not have believed had I not seen it.
I know. I was apprehensive to even try to put an image stabilization on it at all, but ultimately it saved the shot, and it looks great. I really like this shot too.
I like how, I don't remember if it was on purpose, and probably not, but it's here and then quick zoom and then slower zoom. Like the fast zoom kind of goes with her turning around fast, and then once she sits, her motion is slower and the zoom slower.
Yeah.
I want to say that was intentional, but it probably wasn't.
So this is my love letter to Anna Biller, who directed The Love Witch and Viva, which were really influential on this project and the style of this project. I think she's a fantastic director and writer, and she really is this complete auteur artist who she does everything from the sets to the costumes to all of the technical stuff that would be handed off to other people, and I tend to adopt some of those kind of tactics in making projects, especially low budget projects, and this is my show of love and gratitude to her. She's excellent.
Your wink to her, your blink to her, if you will.
Yeah. And so I guess I should mention that. So maybe you caught it, maybe you didn't, but she goes ahead and tries to signal him with the double blink, and that's in the script.
Yeah.
Where she signals Detective Bradbury, and he kind of picks up on her. Something is kind of afoot, but he doesn't know. Maybe should I do something? Maybe I shouldn't. Let's just see how this plays out. Because he knows who this guy is, but maybe he's got these girls under some sort of captivity or whatever.
He doesn't want to quite blow his cover yet.
Yeah, he's still
right,
kind of.
I got you.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
Yeah, he's still kind of like, all right, let's.
I got it handled.
He's got it under control, which is funny because the girl that signals him is the one that gets her fucking half her face blown off. Spoilers.
Sorry. Seen it by now.
Yeah, these shots were a blast. All of these pieces of what would you call them? Kitchenware, yeah. The glass plate, the glass for the beer. Those were Goodwill finds, and I was, trying to find something that I felt like was as appropriate as possible.
It's insane that we found that plate. Was I with you when we?
No, I was by myself. I sent it to you though, and I was like, check this plate out.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And the beer glass is beautiful. I don't know if I think, did I give you the plate?
I have the plate. I don't think I have the beer glass.
I don't know where that beer glass is. But yeah, there's the first introduction of the cinnamon roll.
That was the stunt roll, the initial stunt roll.
Yeah.
And it's interesting here is we knew the music was going to be, let's say for example, 80 beats per minute. So I had a metronome set to 80, and I gave it to Everett and told him practice walking at this pace, like step, 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 step to the music. And it was like slightly too fast. And then by the time we got to this shot, we had just forgotten. So he's moving briskly, like almost jogging in this shot, and then cut to kind of strolling in.
Yeah.
But
well, what's interesting about the shot of his feet, so that was a particular thing, like that was storyboarded and all that. All this was storyboarded, so we didn't have really a system of like getting the camera low enough and to track his feet kind of at that smooth level. So what we did was we put the camera on a monopod we stuck Seema on the wheelchair as I pushed him, and we hung the monopod upside down so that it was on ground level.
And just flip
And then
the
we
shot in
flipped
post.
Yeah, so yeah, when we edited it, we put it back right side up, but it was shot upside down.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So yeah, there's George's beautiful gun. And that holster was lent to him by one of his neighbors who was a former police officer or agent of some kind. He was in law enforcement and was happy enough to let George use that for his gun, because we were thinking about it. We were like, what kind of holster would George have? Probably something that's a little bit more police issue, so given that he's a former detective, current PI, and then with Everett in the script, he also has a holster to kind of give it that like sort of Western feel, but as not only as a creative choice but also an economic choice, we opted to avoid purchasing another holster for Everett, and also to kind of communicate that, you know, this character, while he has a gun in the event of something going sideways, he it's not his weapon of choice. So he wouldn't have a holster. That's kind of like his last ditch ever, just in case shit hits the fan. Because truthfully, he would prefer something a little bit more personal than just the gun. So that's why he doesn't have a holster. Also because I didn't feel like buying one.
Also, yes. Also, I'm just now noticing that George's tie is camouflage.
Yeah.
Black on black urban camo,
Mm-hmm.
which I really like.
So yeah, Everett notices the gun.
That was a nice shot. I like that.
The pull focus.
Yeah. Somehow managed to get that one.
Yeah. Okay, so pause right here. There's a few things wrong with this shot, but it's awesome. So we this is also one of those things that's not in the script. We discussed this in rehearsal. I was like, what if instead of just going and setting his jacket somewhere, what if you just fuck this guy, chuck it on the floor?
As soon as he like turns the corner and like breaks eye contact with him, just like
Yeah.
this guy's never gonna see his coat again
Yeah.
if all goes to plan. So why does it matter?
Right.
Just throw it on the floor.
Correct. So this shot was the shot that the jacket clipped the microphone and blew our audio for like a chunk of the movie, but we had the backup audio, so we were safe in the end. But also the icing on the cake of this cursed shot is if you look very closely.
I don't even know if you know about this.
And this is something I literally didn't catch until like we were like close to wrapping up.
2 days before, something
It was
insane.
like it was like right
bad.
before the premiere.
Yeah.
If you look closely in the mirrored door, you can see standing right there is George, who was supposed to be in the other room.
You see Everett looking back at George as if he's sitting.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there was a tennis ball.
Maybe it's foreshadowing his death.
Of course.
Yes,
Yes.
of course.
Yes.
Foreshadowing that George knows all of his bullshit.
Yeah.
Hey, it happens.
Standing there with his hand in his pocket.
What are you gonna do?
In this is probably a reflection of us. You can probably see our legs here, but like whatever.
What are you gonna do? I still like the shot though.
Oh yeah.
Anything else I can do for you, sir?
Yeah, and then we smash cut.
Yeah.
And
That was the first try too.
Yeah,
That
first
shot
try.
was- yeah. First
Because
take.
I know everyone was concerned that he would miss, but no, he got it.
Natural.
He's a natural. Now, this was one of the beauties of kind of shifting style from the last one. The last one we shot in a 4:3 aspect ratio. This is a 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio. So we were able to widen out the frame and get these really wide, kind of vaster shots. And this shot in particular was something I was really excited to get, and I'm really glad we got it, because I think it's really cool. It's cool to see them both share the frame, even though, you know, most of the time the back and forth is days apart.
Let me guess.
That right there. Would you like to explain that?
Yeah, go ahead.
That is a light that we were using to light the scene, and we forgot that windows are mirrors, and the light is visible in the shot, and we had to crop, zoom in every single shot from that one. We kept the camera in the same spot and recorded all of his dialogue, and then realized, oh god, these are all no good, and we didn't have time to redo them, so the light would be right here, and that's what you're seeing in the reflection of the previous shot.
a later in the game decision, because we knew that we wanted the visual aesthetic to be grainy and scratchy and old, but there was discussion about whether or not we should process the audio to also sound old, and initially we kind of resisted that, but I ended up just to see, just to kind of play with it, see how it would flow with everything else, and we ended up kind of just tinkering with it, and I ended up kind of liking the result. I felt like it ended up completing, the image where the audio and the visual is indicative of this older style, and it all of a sudden just really comes to life, and that was really cool. So that's why it sounds old. So yeah, 90% of the angles of the girls were shot in one or two 5 to 8 minute takes.
Yeah.
And we just would chop them up and cut back to them.
Yeah, these 3 shots, I think were all literally the same take. Me just pointing the camera, or you. I think you were operating camera. I was. Is it spotlight? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was me shining an iPhone light into a megaphone and creating a circle kind of vignette around them. That's why it's so harsh with the hair shadow and the edge of the shadow over here.
Yeah.
That's what that is. That is a light being shown through a megaphone.
Yep.
A lot of iPhone flashlight lighting going on over here.
That's what $900 will buy you.
Yep.
I think that George really brought that fed up kind of weariness that a retired police detective from a kind of seedier town would kind of have in conversation with this kind of guy, especially since he's kind of going through the motions. He's probably done these kinds of stings before, and he's kind of just going forth with the chit chat and kind of listening to him. But eventually, I think something about tonight, he just decides to kind of humor this guy a little bit, and just kind of talk to him a little.
You seem a little fucking young to be running a hotel, huh?
Yeah, so he gets a little upset there for
really
just a
good,
second.
That was
and,
a really good take.
Yeah, that was really funny, and Everett takes it a little personally. The Ron Clark facade is starting to kind of become a little bit see-through at this point, because he wants to hear a little bit about this brutal murder that was so fucked up that it affected this detective out of the police force. Okay, so a couple of things about this, but I'll start with a conversation that Carlo and I had really, really early on. I knew that I had this story, I knew I had this flashback, and I was kicking around ways to kind of visually convey this story, and it was actually through Carlo that we presented as a series of still photographs in the same kind of context as a la jetée. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, there's a film out there. It hasn't even been officially released yet. Hollywood 90028, I think. And in the film, there's a character who has a very extensive backstory, but because it's a low-budget film, they don't have the money to waste film on that. So really, it's explained through a series of still photographs just like here, and I thought that reading through the script, that'd be a really cool approach to bring to the Depraved.
Yeah, and it really was, because the moment that he kind of pitched it to me that way, I was like, well, in spite of how jarring it is in comparison to the presentation of the rest of the film, I feel like in spite of that, it is still incredibly in the same context with everything. It's cut from the same cloth. And it was a really dynamic way to kind of approach this sequence. But another interesting thing about this sequence is this entire story comes from a chapter of something that I had written years ago that will maybe one day see the light of day in some way, shape, or form. But essentially is the story of a guy who is a white-collar kind of stiff. He's having an affair with the receptionist at work. His wife is getting suspicious, and it ends up going to this big blowout, and he accidentally kills her, and then he kills himself. And that story, I felt like, could have like an interesting subtext to Bradbury. What is it about this particular story that affects him to the point of quitting? Especially when, you know, a lot of these kinds of crimes probably happen all the time, or, you know, worse crimes happen all the time. But there was something particularly about this one that upset him, and you know, I thought that it was interesting to kind of bring that story back. But that's my mom, and that's my dad. My dad eating a Hungry Man dinner, which he refused to actually eat.
That was great. I was there for the recording for the taking of the first couple of these shots, and it was just
It was a lot
great.
of fun.
It was great.
Yeah.
Him just like looking at this meal
With disdain. Like, this is what I come home to. My wife put a Hungry Man dinner in the microwave, and this is what I'm coming home to. It's no wonder he kills her. So this is my friend. She's a great writer, Aurora Acosta, who I met working at the Wellbore, and she agreed to come be a part of this. And we staged this office in my house. You know, it's kind of like, maybe could be like a CD kind of talent agency, you know, and you got the Audrey Hepburn, the Marilyn Monroe quote in the back, and, you know, she's typing out something, and she's got the old phone, and, you know, the cigarettes, the crossword puzzles and shit. And my dad putting his arm around her, who we had met minutes before. It was really funny.
Is that his wedding ring?
Yeah, it is. So, you know, kind of this shot is like the mirror to the Everett George shot, as well as a callback to the style that we had on Summertime, which was the 4:3 black and white aesthetic. And it was really cool to kind of bring this back for just a minute. It was my way of showing that I'm not quite finished with it, but I think I am now. I think I'm done. So yeah, they're getting angry with each other, getting the conflict up, and it's like, what the fuck? So yeah, so that right there. In the script, it's just a kitchen knife, but I have this this blade, this dagger, from Spain, from Toledo, Spain, which I visited with my family when I was about 15, and I thought it would be interesting to pull that out and use that as like the centerpiece of the table, so that like when she finally stands up to this, you know, whack-ass husband, it's like almost like she's pulled Excalibur.
Yeah.
And she's finally gonna take on this Goliath, and yeah, it's really funny. But you know, it ultimately doesn't matter. He smacks the shit out of her, and so yeah, he's going at her, and he accidentally strangles her to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize my dad had a face that was so expressive until we did this. But yeah, so funny enough, so this is a contribution for my brother Michael, who's also a producer on this. In the script, he decides to kill himself, and in the script he has a shotgun and he blows his brains out. And I was talking about it with my brother, and we were working out the scene, and he was like, I feel like it would be much funnier and economically sound to not have to find a shotgun prop, but instead to use the revolver and have him play a game of Russian roulette. You know, will I, won't I? Because, you know, this guy's really a coward. And he says you never really see the Russian roulette like actually just like take the guy out on the first try. And that's what happens here, you know.
He's playing with one bullet.
Playing with one bullet, and George's narration sums it up. I guess his God has a sense of humor. Okay, so this is my cameo. That's a photo of me, censored, of course, because the character is a minor, and these are like crime scene photos. So yeah, that picture is from when I was like 12 or maybe 13. I was very unhappy to take that photo, and yeah, so the reason why this is superimposed into the film is because I resisted really trying to like go and find a kid actor or a kid that I could, find from a friend or somebody, because number one, coordinating that would have been a nightmare, and also like you have to hide all of this stuff from the kid, and it just felt like more work than I felt like actually doing. So instead, I just photoshopped this embarrassing photo of myself into the shot, and also like those are my real parents too. So in another universe.
In the we tried to do this shot with digital blood on the wall, but it didn't look very good. So Isaiah's dad actually shot himself.
That's right. Yeah, so that got some people in the audience that night too.
It was a second jump scare.
Because you're sucking them in with this story, and then all of a sudden we're back, and you remember what's actually happening here.
And I don't know if he has a Christian Bale-like talent, or if we had just turned the AC off because we didn't want to mess up the audio, but the sweatiness in this shot, like, is tremendous.
Oh yeah, I don't think he forced that out.
No, I think that was incidental.
Given the fact that we had to actually shut off the AC.
Yeah, happy accident.
But yeah,
I think that really adds a lot to that shot.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't really see that side of his face in this kind of lighting before or again, and it's in this moment when he's like invested in the story, and it's like,
yeah,
like, god damn you.
But immediately, instead of like, oh my god, like that's so fucked up, he wants to know more. What happened to that kid?
Snap right back into it, put the smile up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, Ron. He hasn't said shit in 5 years. It's his birthday. You know what I got him, Ron?
What's that?
An Etch-a-Sketch. I was just breaking your balls. Poor fucking kid, though.
It's like the only quote unquote joke in the movie.
Yeah.
the only written joke.
Yeah. Everything else is physical.
Yeah.
Or contextual. The Go
Just
Army shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just like a little bit of like dark humor from Detective Bradbury. So yeah, these were a couple of pickup inserts that we got on the second to last day before we got into the shootout sequence, because I felt like it would kind of help in the building of the tension that he's starting to kind of like, oh fuck, like, okay, he definitely wasn't after me. Okay, wait a minute, I think he actually might just be, he was a cop, but he's not anymore. But now he's a PI, so okay, what the fuck does this guy want? And he's starting to kind of slip.
He's still doing a decent job keeping it together up top, but he is fidgeting.
Yeah.
Tremendously.
Yeah, Ron Clark is starting to disappear at this point.
And here is when it really, like, alright, there's no use holding up the facade anymore. The smile goes away and doesn't come back until it's a different kind of smile.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite moments here. Is George's performance just completely carrying the moment in that slow zoom as we get closer and closer.
No trigger discipline.
Nope. So I think this shot is like, I had this very clear in my mind. I remember I think this is the shot that you were talking about on the episode with Everett, that like you couldn't quite understand like the framing that I was going for.
That's right.
And I was like, I want to see everything. And I want it to be a low angle, and I want to see George, and I want to see the gun, and I want to see the stance. And I was trying to explain it as best as I could, and sometimes like, it's like word salad with the things that you're like really excited to do.
Yeah, and I see why you were excited. This is one of the best shots in the thing.
Yeah, this was great.
Yeah, so I just literally handed him the camera and said, go ahead. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah.
And it turned out incredible. Was it your idea to Dutch that or mine?
It was probably,
because it helps to. It was probably like that, and then the gun was a bit out of frame.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking it might have been like to compensate for like whatever we couldn't quite get in the shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this was another one that I was like I grabbed the camera and just like stuck it on the table and just tilted it down. I was like, George, look up.
Yep.
And this is another Kodak moment. And that smile, man, that was great.
Blue eyes with the eyebrow up. He's like,
Mhm.
I got you.
That gotcha moment. Calvin Brown. He finally reveals himself, and Calvin Brown is not afraid. No ghost.
Showed his power level.
Exactly.
100%.
Now this is the big moment, the big bite. Now this was great. I love this moment, and this was key in everything from the rehearsal to just talking about this all the way up to the moment we shot. It was really, really important that it's a long pause before Everett responds, and he's just staring and breathing, and he's just savoring this.
Uncomfortably long.
Yeah, the big reveal, what he's been eating this entire time, and this is when he busted out that laugh,
Yep.
and that was just insane. And if you look closely, there's a little bit of blood smudged on George's lip. He's starting to be like, wait a minute, what the fuck? And finally, some of our gore shots from the great Skylar Morris, who made these fingers, and we just put blood all over the place. It was just this like nasty concoction of sweet and salty.
The way the cinnamon roll like legitimately kind of got glued to the plate a little bit because all the blood and the sugar and icing just kind of sitting there for a while.
Yeah.
And then it kind of picks it up and there's some tension and like it just, oh
Yeah.
god. Kept that a little blurry right here.
Kind of mask a little
fuzz it
bit,
up.
feather the errors a little bit.
Because it does get a glory shot eventually.
Yeah. And then here we go. Now that was the shot that we were the most nervous. One of the few shots that we were most nervous because obviously we were shooting on a actual location in an actual bar with the white walls everywhere, and we were very, very particular, really careful, trying to make sure that we didn't fuck this up. And I was literally just where the aspect ratio covers. I am beneath it with the trigger, and we had to really go over this so many times, like to make sure that we could predict where the blood was going to go. We had him position his body in this particular way so that the blood would try to be as away from any open areas as possible, but covering him from 180 degree perimeter our hardworking crew who was standing holding these tarps so that it wouldn't blast the other end of the frame with fake blood, and the blood ends up getting all over the fucking place in this shot. In that whip pan from the day before to the day after. Yeah, so this was a lot of fun to do the Foley for. Like all of these sounds that were done a couple of weeks to months after this. Just like, all of us and my brother Michael going to Walmart, getting all kinds of like items to make these noises with, and processing them so that it fit in with the slow motion. But I knew it was key that I wanted the sound to maintain pitch, but also be distorted and slowed. So I didn't want it to go like low when things slowed down. Like I wanted to maintain the pitch and to make it as fucked up and bizarre as absolutely possible.
Yep. And that, good lord.
Yeah, that was nuts. So yeah, this was another one of those moments coming up right here that I think we figured out like while we were shooting, because I remembered, and this was like a little bit of a plot hole in the script. How does the cinnamon roll get across the room at the end? How can we find a way to make that make sense?
Because there was a shot that I came up with that I saw it in my head and I'm like, oh, this is too cool to like not bring up. I hope he likes it. And it was the cinnamon rolls on the floor, and Everett is crawling just like desperately, like on his last couple breaths. He wants to grab a cinnamon roll, but he can't reach it, so he reaches down, grabs his gun, and uses the gun to pull the cinnamon roll into his grasp. But then, yeah, we were like, oh,
How are we gonna get it over there?
Yeah, and there were a couple options, most of them extremely dangerous, broken glass and that type of stuff. So we were like, no, definitely can't do that. What's another option?
Well, I decided to go for the comedic option, which is he, in an act of vengeance, takes the cinnamon roll full of human remains and chucks it right at Calvin Brown's face.
Rather trauma-esque.
Yes, rather
I'd say.
Trauma-esque.
Absolutely.
You know, very over the top, because at this point we've completely cut loose, and the violence is at its absolute peak, and well, maybe not at its absolute peak, but it's finally revealed itself. The movie has completely taken off its disguise, as Calvin Brown has, and we just really went apeshit. So yeah, these back and forth shots are a day apart. Very strategic that you don't see them in the same shot for these. Yeah, she's gonna make a run for it. This is all in the script. Like she's just gonna make a run for it. Her friend's like, what? And we get our first person Red Dead Redemption moment. She goes down. There was some conversation for a little bit about rigging a squib on her, but
Yeah.
that went out the window fast.
Yeah.
Like, it's impossible. She's literally a moving target.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we ended up just like playing with it in the edit. And yeah, she, Skylar did this on herself, and she did all the makeup for everything, and she went ahead and just did it on herself. And what was funny is, we shot this, and what happened was we got this shot first, but we still hadn't gotten the angle of her looking underneath the table. So she had her makeup already dolled up like for that scene, but wanted to get this shot first, so we then had to undo the gore and then put the beauty makeup back on so that we could get the shot of her looking under the table and making a run for it. It was funny, but we just I don't remember the decision behind getting this shot first. I think she was just eager to do it.
Yeah.
And we got it done, and it's one of the best ones. Okay, so this is my love letter now to Brian De Palma, who I really admire, and I had watched a lot of my favorite horror movies to kind of prepare for making this, and looked at Carrie in particular, and just the moment in the prom was a big influence on this moment, and it was really cool. And then this is well, I guess we can talk about like both ends of the split screen. So
Sure.
Starting with George's end, he runs into the bathroom. That bathroom is the same bathroom that Everett was chopping people up in. That bathroom geographically is not actually where it is in the building as it is in the movie, but that's a little bit of like suspension of disbelief. This bathroom is actually upstairs. The bathroom downstairs is more of like a typical bathroom you would see at a restaurant or bar with like a stall and all that stuff, but this had a bathtub. It's definitely like a big like photo op for a lot of people here in Orlando because they fill it with like these bouncy balls. And we did this. We had the gunshot on his chest, and what's supposed to happen is he's supposed to realize something is off in this bathroom, and he looks in the bathtub, and he sees the chopped up remains of the girl, or not of the girls, but of Calvin Brown's wife that he's been baking in cinnamon rolls, and he throws up, and then decides to get after this guy once and for all. But we shot that, but it just didn't quite look good, and there wasn't really a whole lot of post work we could do to get it as good looking as the rest of the makeup looked, and you know, just got the axe, as it tends to happen. And then Everett is having the time of his life over on the right side, and he's just completely toying with Maddie, and just absolutely insane. This was just so much fucking fun to shoot, watching him just go ballistic, and Maddie's just screaming like crazy, like everything is finally, like, we've been waiting to shoot this, we've been waiting for this moment, and the audience, I believe, is probably also like ready to see this thing finally come to a head, and being there when it finally did was just such a thrill. And yeah, like shushing her with the barrel of his gun. Yeah. So yeah, sequentially this would have been after he would have found the remains in the bathtub. Oh yeah, so at some point in between Bradbury in the dining room and this shot in the bathroom, the hammer of the gun snapped off, which I literally didn't notice until like a couple weeks after we had finished shooting. But yeah, there's no hammer for that gun.
Sorry.
Sorry, guys.
And that quick little prayer was
That's an improvisation.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
He did it the first time. We're like, ooh, that's good. Do
Yeah.
that from now on.
So
That
yeah,
fall, that slam that Everett took there was,
he did it for real,
he
man.
just took it
He just dropped
right
to the
onto
floor.
his elbow.
Yeah,
That was-
and
that was- oof.
man, you could feel it in the room, because it's an old building. You feel the whole floor shake when he drops like a sack of potatoes.
He's not a small guy.
No, he's not. This is a really big like motif that I was kind of pulling. It might be hard to kind of decipher, but it's there if you look at it. The characters who have died, or the ones who are shown on screen as having died, they all die with their eyes open and remain dead with their eyes open, and that was a big thing that George talks about in the voiceover. You know, eyes wide open, petrified, the most terrifying moment of her life. So that's like how I am cluing you, the audience, that when we see this here, Everett is in fact, or Calvin Brown is in fact not dead and is playing dead,
Still firmly grasping his gun.
still holding onto the gun. And, you know, Bradbury is so arrogant that he thinks he's just completely defeated.
Missed his heart 3 times.
Yeah, got everywhere but the heart.
Yep.
But yeah, that's like my visual signal to you, the audience, that he's gonna get up because his eyes are closed. So yeah, when he holsters his weapon in one of the earlier cuts, I didn't have the music yet, so I put the Go Army theme song as like the victory music, and that was like something we all got a really big kick out of. And what if we kept it? But no, we couldn't keep it.
There are certain shots when you're watching something where you can feel, it's like, why is it framed like that? Like something's about to happen, something's about to jump out from behind him, and this shot specifically has that feeling, because it's like, why is it framed like that?
Why is
But
it so
then
far away?
It gets you on edge for a second, but then the next shot, this feels nice. It's
yeah,
like,
it's compassion.
it's like, no, sorry, like we're basically saying sorry about that. Like, no, we're not gonna do that.
Priscilla, okay, hey, Priscilla. It's a great name.
And some little funny dialogues, and this man is just not living in reality.
No, he is so completely full of pride that he thinks he's the hero. And
And then back to that
Back
something's
to-
about to happen shot.
yep, back to the width, and then a little bit getting on Skylar's leg there. So
Trooper to not move at all.
no, she stayed perfectly still. So yeah, that take of the blood, that was the second take. That was the one that Seba ended up doing, because I fucked up the first one. Got a little too nervous at the last second and just dropped it right in front of her. But yeah, that blood there in the shot with George, if we could find the frame, that is a digital shot. That is digital blood. So yeah, that is the only scene or moment in the movie that is digitally done. You know, a little bit of movie magic, but this is definitely real.
That's all real.
This is all real. And
I like warned her, like, I'm gonna pelt you in the face with this. Like, I'm I'm gonna hit you pretty hard. Just like clinch up your face a bit. And she did here, and you can see for a maybe 2 frames, like a little bit of her like closing her mouth and nose and eyes really tight. But before, there were like 5 frames before that in like an earlier draft, and you could tell that she was like preparing herself for it. So you completely cut those frames out, and I think that really helps to sell the illusion of like her just like getting blindsided by this.
Right, like the first frame of this reverse shot is already like the blood covering.
There is blood completely, covering her face. So yeah.
And that's full of like chunks of meat and eggshells and
teeth. There's a tooth.
Yeah, there's teeth
on her forehead.
Yeah, he completely gets his entire head and face blasted out, and this poor fella, he's still kicking though. See, he's just slowly. Because in the script, in the very first draft of the script, he gets up and fucks with her, and it was actually someone who told me like he would not get up.
And that
with 3 shots of center mass.
Right, and also that helped facilitate this shot. He could hardly kind of crawl around, sort of.
And that blood smear when he does it was also accident that adds so much. And then of course this is I will say it firmly here, I believe this is Skylar's best work. This fully prosthetic head that we filled with all kinds of different red and pink food items and eggshells and it was just that was just fucking insane. Like being there on set and like and you'll see it in these behind the scenes photos, like we put the head on a mannequin that belonged to Alyssa Watkins, who came in and helped us out for a couple days, and we dressed it and we did the whole thing. We put the hair all over it, and when it was there, like as we were filming, we were working out some different stuff. We were figuring, okay, so we got to do this and this, whatever. And then I walked across the room and I had to step over this, and like that's when it hit me. I was like, holy shit, like this feels like fucking insane. Like I'd realized like what I'd written had come to life, or was alive and then is now pretty dead. And just like imagine being in a room with this thing and you're like walking over it, stepping over it, and that's what you see here. And he so he takes a dip, and this is obviously our stunt cinnamon roll, not our real one, because when we see it again. But yeah, she's looking like horrified, like what the fuck is like she even like what are you doing? And then he bites it.
So we have the stunt cinnamon roll, and then we have the edible stunt cinnamon roll, and the normal edible cinnamon roll. So there were probably, how many involved? 7.
Like all 10. Like from the whole shoot.
Yeah.
I remember we picked up like 2 a day.
Yeah, so probably 10-ish.
12.
12.
Cool. 12.
And that is jelly.
Yeah, the strawberry preserves, and I think that was it. Strawberry preserves, because we wanted it to be edible, so that he could eat it. He coincidentally hated it.
Yeah.
He says in his episode just how awful this was for him. Poor guy. But yeah.
Art is pain, dude.
Yeah, and it was oozing out of his teeth.
This was the last thing we shot.
Yes, it was.
This was the very last shot.
And that slurp that you hear, that was an addition in the edit. That slurp that you hear is me.
What is it? I thought it was free slurp audio too.
No.
YT download.
That is me. That is my...
You did it. Ladies and gentlemen, you did it.
Yeah, and...
Say the line.
And it was also really important in that moment. And it's in the script and everything like that. The iris wipe, that like circle, like wrapping the story up like in a that's all folks kind of way,
Yeah.
Our final like wink
last,
at the camera.
Yeah.
And just how much fun we're having in spite of how fucked up this has become. But yeah, and then we get a reprisal of the earlier music to wrap this movie up. I felt like it would be a good kind of assist from the score to the wink of the camera to kind of cut back to to this particular track from earlier to end it on such this like funky note. But yeah, this cast was great. So shout out to myself.
I'd like to personally give a shout out to Isaiah Quinones.
And I would also like to give a shout out to Isaiah Quinones for
Me too.
for writing and directing this.
Of course.
So yeah, that's all of us. Mr. Salem Star.
Hello.
Why Salem Star? You're credited as Salem Star on Summertime too.
Yeah, I thought it would be fun to play around with pseudonyms. I'm still gonna think more about it because I think there's a mystique to it. Then also, I think it can come off a little bit too stage namey. So, I think with this, something with just all of the Depraved and even Summertime, it's really just us having fun. But the Depraved specifically had a lot of polish, so it made me think a little bit more about that. So,
Hey, who knows? Maybe on the next one, Salem Star will return, or maybe he will be reborn.
we will see.
So yeah, this is our entire cast, from everybody to the Wellborn to the photo sequence, and everybody did such an excellent job and brought so much to the table, and really just wanted to take a second and really thank everybody for agreeing to come and do this with us, and buying a little bit into my schemes that I'm actually making a movie. So thank you guys, and this crew, of course, everybody who helped out and everybody who came out and just showed some love and was willing to get their hands dirty and was willing to get a little blood on them and all that. That was really it was really a privilege to be able to work with all of you. So everybody in this crew, thank you so much for all of your help. And then Michael Sema, there he is. Derek Keith again. I couldn't have made this what it was without this beautiful music and without Derek Keith, who I actually was lucky enough to meet in person recently in Los Angeles, where he lives, and he's such an excellent guy, really, really talented and smart and opinionated, and just a really groovy dude. And I'm excited to work with him again in the future. And like I said earlier, his movie Midnight Oil is also coming to Troma now very soon, so be on the lookout for that. It's great. It's a lot of fun, and you're gonna love it. So shout out to Derek. And of course, this is the meat and potatoes of the whole movie, is the special effects makeup. And we had collaborated on Summertime, and she brought that to life, and she really ascended to a whole new level on this film, and she just did such a tremendous job, and also acted in it and introduced George. And shout out to me again.
I know that guy. I've met him before.
Yeah, editing this was fun, and of course the Wellborn for letting us shoot there. That was such a fortuitous circumstance to be able to make this project real and do it there, that it was so picture perfect, and it completely fit in with what we were trying to do, and just so lucky to have been able to get it. And now for the lightning round. Thanks Mom and Dad for supporting my decision to drop out of college. And Paul Labeds, thank you for the beautiful VW Rabbit and for spending some time with us on our first night of shooting. Alex Bueno for being an excellent confidant and for grabbing some cinnamon rolls for me one night of shooting. That was really helpful. Heather McMahon, the GM of the Wellborn, one of the finest people I've ever met. She's so sweet and was really a crucial part of getting us across the finish line, even in the darkest of times. Simone Rithersorn for being a good listener and a good friend, and somebody who I could bounce ideas off of, and somebody who also designed the the merchandise that we had made for the Depraved that we sold at the screening. It was really, really great work. She's so talented. So guys, check her out, check her work out. She's amazing. Dean Russo, who was one of the first people outside of the Egregious Intent circle to read the script, and he was somebody that I was always messaging, like, does this suck? Is this stupid? Like, I don't know. And he was always really supportive and really honest and offered this really great feedback. So, Dean, I love you. Let's get together soon.
All my homies love Dean.
All the homies love Dean. And we're getting to some big ones here. So Marcus Roundtree and Zoe Anderson at the time. Zoe Roundtree now. They were the ones who took a chance on us and hosting us at the Downtown Arts Collective for our premiere. And we really created such a memorable evening. And I'm just so glad that they let us do that and put that all together with us, and it was really special. So Marcus, Zoe, I love you guys. You're the best. And of course, last but not least, I promised him when we shot this that I would give him the biggest title credit here. I told him the font for his name would be bigger than everybody else's. And this was Benjamin Coots, who was one of the managers at the Wellborn while we were filming this, and he was there almost every single night, letting us in, letting us out, keeping an eye on us, and guiding us through. He gave us complete access to the grounds, and every night he would have his young daughter there, Cerise, who was playing around. She wasn't allowed to come into where we were filming, of course. But we couldn't have done it without Ben. He just really was so respectful of what we were trying to do, and really, I don't know if he necessarily believed in us while we were doing it, but after the fact at the premiere, he came up to me all drunk, like, dude, this is what you were doing the whole fucking time? It was so much fun. So yeah, Ben, thank you for everything. Yeah, so this is a work of fiction. Any similarity to actual persons living or dead or actual events is purely coincidental.
Egregious intent.
The egregious intent that you're hearing is the voice of none other than one of the best filmmakers to ever do it. That's David Lynch, everybody.
Egregious intent asks, what did I learn most from my earliest films? And it's magical. So Egregious,
David Lynch is just he's a powerhouse and is one of the strongest influences on me as a filmmaker. Oh no, my dogs are interrupting my shout out to David Lynch.
Unbelievable.
He's one of the strongest influences on me creatively and artistically, ever since I was like 14 years old. It's been a rabbit hole of mystery and confusion and excitement ever since. Well, guys, that's the Depraved. That was the making of the Depraved. That is the breakdown of the Depraved. And truthfully now, the end of the journey with the Depraved. Again, this has been such an excellent, fun, horrifying, awe-inspiring, infuriating experience making this, but it's been one of the best things I've ever been a part of, and I'm really proud of it. I'm proud of everybody who came and helped make it, and yeah, I mean, it's such a weird thing, we wrote this back in December of 2019, and we shot it at the tail end of 2020. Had to deal with all the COVID bullshit, and then we had our premiere at the end of the year, and then it's finally now available on Troma Now,
and also YouTube.
Here in
2022.
It's just been such a long journey with this project, and it's finally come to its end. So I want to thank everybody involved, and I want to thank all of you, the supporters and the listeners, and everybody who has been around and has checked out the Depraved and everything else. And just want to say it really means a lot, and yeah, thanks. You guys got anything you want to say to wrap up this this journey?
I can't follow all those thank yous and
It was perfect.
shout outs. Yeah, you did a great job.
Well, everybody, to wrap this episode up, this season finale, just want to say that The Depraved is available on watch.trauma.com
and YouTube.
and will remain there for quite some time. So you guys definitely check it out, share it, let me know what you thought. And yeah, so I don't know when season 2 is coming or what it will be about, but I do know that there is a lot left to see from us, and there's some really exciting announcements to be made, so keep your eyes open for the next couple months. And I don't know,
That's all for now,
that's
folks.
all for now, folks. I'm stopping myself from saying something that I don't know if I should or shouldn't say.
Say it and I'll cut it if we shouldn't say it.
Okay. Well, we are. Maybe that'll be what season 2 is about. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right, everybody. Thanks. Talk to you guys soon.
Peace.
Peace.
Should I hit start record now? Was that a good rehearsal?